All right, we are live and welcome to another edition of Hail Yes, a Michigan football and basketball podcast by the Detroit Free Press. I am Andrew Birkle, of course, joined by our Michigan beat writer, Tony Garcia, coming off another successful week for Michigan, beat Minnesota at home, and then, of course, another impressive win on the road at Illinois that, quite frankly, looked a lot like many of other Michigan's other impressive wins so far this year. Tony, what do you make of just this week? And I think you want to talk about Dusty ultimately keeping his word by locking up a Big Ten title, right?
Yeah, this is just what Michigan has been doing, just handling business all season long. On Tuesday, kind of an ugly game last Tuesday, that is, against Minnesota. Never really able to get in the flow, but still never really a doubt as they cruised to a 10-point win and win a share of the Big Ten title. And then it was, the game of the week. It was yet another, I guess if you're using AP poll, we use the USA Today Sports Coaches poll. So Illinois was 11th in that. So just outside the top 10, but another top 10, 11 matchup. And it was Morris Johnson's return to Champaign, right? People have got signs of him that saying traitor, with him painted as a clown. I mean, that's what's going to happen, right? Like, that is the nature of college basketball today. If you're leaving, especially for one team in the conference for another, and Michigan has three of those guys, right? With Roddy Gale coming from Ohio State, Adai Marr coming from UCLA, and now it was Morez's turn to face his old team, and he just absolutely dominated. 19 points, 11 boards. This might have been, in many ways, I don't know if Dusty would agree or not. I could have asked him on Monday when we spoke to him. It might have been the best game that all three bigs have played together. Like, another game that really stuck out to me was Washington when I was up in Seattle. I remember, they combined for 52 points, and Morez had a career high 16 rebounds. But Morez had 19 and 11. Adai had 19 and 5. Yaxel had 16, 7, and 4. And is, like, as you were talking about pre-shows, picking up Keaton Wagler, who could be an all Big Ten first team guy, a point guard, picking him up 94 feet, right? Just the ultimate Swiss Army knife. And so they combined for what I believe is a season high for between the three with 54 points. I didn't make it through quite every game, but I think that is the most that the three have scored in one game. And so and another phrase you said pre-show, just boa constrictoring, right? Like, they just squeeze and suck the life out of you, even in your gym. Sets up another what should be really fun week for Michigan hoops. It's March, which is the best time of year, but what is unusual in March is Michigan is playing March, or starting March, with some games that don't have a lot of stress, right? Of course you want to win. And of course you want to, continue to add history. And each of these games have some historic markers coming up on Thursday at 8 p.m. against Iowa on Peacock, then Sunday, 4:30 against Michigan State at Chrysler Center. That one always it has some big time implications, even if one team's going to make the postseason and one team is not. But of course, both teams will this year and be very highly seeded. But Michigan doesn't have a ton of pressure on them. They've got a 1 seed locked up, which we'll get into later. And now this might be a good opportunity for them to start tinkering with some things with life after LJ Kaysen, which was really the only bad news of last week, losing a really electric guard who some people have said is the best point guard in the nation, coming off the bench, that is. And now he's out for the year. So a lot of good, some disappointing last week, but it was just sort of another business as usual week, is my thought.
Yeah, we had that slated to talk about a little later, the Kaysen injury, but let's just get into it now. Obviously, terrible news for LJ. I'm finding this a little difficult to break down because he'd been playing so well lately. He gives Michigan something that they didn't have otherwise, as like a spark off the bench, a really, really powerful scorer in bunches, and he had developed as a playmaker, and Dusty clearly trusted him over the last few weeks. Sometimes over other guards in the rotation. But at the same time, Michigan is probably more well prepared to handle an injury to a player of LJ Cason's level than anyone in the country. We've talked about this all year. That's why depth matters, right? I mean, to be like to have the luxury to say LJ Cason, who we literally, kind of jokingly but kind of seriously talked about last week, like how many teams would LJ Cason be the best player on in the Big Ten? Like he is that caliber of player. He goes out and Michigan is able to be like, okay, yep, well, a couple more minutes for Trey McKinney here and there, a couple more minutes for Elliot Cadeau. We got Namari Burnett as at the 2, who can help play them a few more minutes here and there. They have a ton of different options and how they can go about it. So as far as being able to withstand this injury, I think Michigan is pretty well positioned. But he certainly brought something to the table that no one else on the team did as a spurt scorer like he is.
Yep, you said it. I mean, this does not derail their national championship hopes by any means. However, the margin for error has been slimmed. I mean, I think that much is very, very fair to say. I mean, I go back to the night against Northwestern. Michigan is down 16 points in the second half. Elliot Cadeau has his 4th or 5th turnover, and Dusty just sort of pulls him early in the second half, puts in LJ looking for a spark, and LJ scores 18 points on the game, career high, and really vaults Michigan to that big time victory. And I mean, LJ was really starting to get it going lately. I mean, after that, I mean, he had 18, 13, only 7 against Duke, but that was in just 14 minutes. And honestly, I kind of felt like they should have gone to LJ more in that second half because he had a good start to that second half. Then he had 14 against Minnesota, and he had become a knockdown shooter, right? Like he was really hot from 3. He had made at least 1 3 in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in 9 straight games. In all but one of those games, okay, I guess all but 2 of those games, he was shooting 40% or better from 3. So, I mean, this wasn't like 1 of 6, like 2 of 7, like volume. I mean, he was 1 of 2, 2 of 3, 4 of 6. He had a game against Minnesota. And I mean, Dusty's talked about it. I mean, LJ brings something that nobody else on this roster has, which is just the ability to go and get you a bucket, right? Like for all the dominant players Michigan has, LJ is the one who you feel really comfortable with getting you a bucket off the dribble, right? Like Yaxel is going to be a lottery pick in the NBA draft. He's not exactly built like, I mean, he can, but it's not his game, right? To just go take someone off the bounce with nothing else there. I mean, you can post Merez, you can feed a die down low, and they can get you something, but they're not going to create. And just, I mean, shot clock's winding down, ball in their hand, like hand grenade type situation. And it's like, all right, well, he can knife through and draw a foul or at least get a good look. Or even if he's pulling from 3 and it's deep, we still feel good about it. And so that Michigan had been playing more minutes with Cason and Cadeau on the court together. Now, I mean, you sort of wonder what's going to happen if Elliot Cadeau picks up a couple quick fouls, right? Like you don't have what Dusty May was calling that insurance policy right behind him. And so, and there really is nobody else truly equipped for the same thing. Now, like you said, I mean, everyone in the country would be hurt by this. Michigan does have options. I wonder if they play through Yaxel a little bit more, sort of like they did with Danny Wolf last year. I mean, we've seen he's capable of bringing the ball up the court. And initiating offense and making the passes that you need him to and doing all those trusted things. Trey McKinney, I wonder. He's really felt more like a 2 guard to me this year. I thought he was going to be a real combo guard coming in. He feels more like a scoring guard to me than someone who really initiates and sets up the offense, at least to this point. I mean, some of this is going to fall on him. But then Dusty was talking about some things, I mean, with Roddy Gale and with Namari Burnett. He was talking about Namari being a point guard his first year here under Juwan Howard. And I wanted to respectfully point out, I think you've kind of found the key to Namari off ball and just being a floor spacer. Like, I don't know if the ideal plan is Namari leading the offense and same with Roddy. I mean, he like sometimes once he puts his head down and decides he's going in the lane, I mean, for a couple of years now, we've seen what that can look like. I mean, Roddy giveth and Roddy taketh away. And in a tie game with 8 minutes left in March, I don't know if that's kind of where you want to be. So unfortunate. And Michigan, but that's what we're talking about, right? Like Michigan's got a couple games now with no stakes other than a rivalry loss, right? And maybe some history here and there that we'll get into in a second. But as stress-free as games can be in March, they can tinker with a couple things, try some lineups, and that's what I'm interested to see what that looks like.
I wouldn't say as stress-free. It's just because bragging rights in the state mean a lot, not just to Michigan State fans who are trying to get the one win, but also to Michigan fans who want to sweep Michigan State after what happened last year when Michigan State swept them. So I think there are still more stakes. If it was like Rutgers, Maryland, the last two games, then it'd be like the lowest possible stakes. But as far as like anything to play for, seeding, Big Ten tournament seeding, it's all locked up. It's clinched. So in a way, I think that this Michigan State game will give them a good pressure test, and Iowa to a degree on the road. Iowa's proven to be a pretty tough team at home, but these two games in a way will give them a chance to actually pressure test if they want to try Trey at the point guard. You know, he came in as kind of a combo guard. There is something to be said about, you mentioned Damari, where it's like, you see this in the NBA all the time. Guys who are like, George Niang, you know him? Remember he used to play college?
Yeah, Iowa State.
Iowa State. He was like an on-ball, like the offense ran through him in college at Iowa State. And he goes to the NBA. He's clearly not good enough to be like a cog in the offense. He's more just like, hey, you stand in the corner, you do your job. You have some skill, but you're not dribbling at all. And then all of a sudden it's been 5, 6, 7, 8 years where he hasn't really been dribbling in games. I feel like that happens sometimes in college too, where like Namari Burnett hasn't really been playing point guard, hasn't really been, dribbling that much. Versus Trey McKinney was playing point guard and, had the ball all the time 6 months ago, a year ago, he was basically more involved. So I think there is something to be said about that. If like the transition back to the point guard position might be a little bit more natural. So we'll see, but two good chances for Michigan to try it out over the final stretch here.
Yeah. And obviously the Michigan State game is an important game. I was really alluding to I guess what I was thinking about was the next game was Iowa with all of that, but that's a good point. But then the counter to it is Namari's a sixth-year guy. Trey is a freshman. He has not been playing like a freshman, right? He's been superb. And I mean, I actually still would. Like, I agree with you. I would trust Trey more in that role. But you could see someone maybe just wanting to go with experience. They're not about – Elliot Cadeau is going to be the lead dog, like even more so than he has been. But he's been a little bit microwavy this year. I mean, I think he's been really good. I think Michigan's gotten everything they could hope for out of Elliot Cadeau. I wrote earlier this, I guess it was last month now, about how he sort of outdueled Jeremy Fears in their first meeting late, how he got the better of Braden Smith really from start to finish in his last game. But I mean, Cadeau, this last game, right? He had 4 fouls. He played 27 minutes. He's 7 points, 3 of 9, 0 of 3 from 3, 5 assists. 5 assists and no turnovers. Like, you can't take that for granted, but like, it's not like he was like dominating things. Right. And so, if there's another one of those games now, Michigan was still leading by 20 on the road at a team that's a 2-3 seed. This Michigan team is special, obviously, but we're talking about winning a national championship, right? And last year Michigan wouldn't have got out of the round of 32 without LJ Kaysen keeping them in the game in the first half against Texas A&M, and then Roddy taking over in the second half. Kaysen, he had a big, I think it was the Purdue game in the Big Ten tournament in the semifinal. Kaysen had a big game there too, and really was very important a couple times. So you're gonna need everybody. Michigan now does not have LJ, and so that's it's a really tough thing to deal with. Like, if this happened in mid-January, right? It's bad, but you've got some time to really work through it. That time is really expedited here. And on top of it, LJ was playing the best ball of his career. He was just hooping for the last like month or so. So feel bad for LJ. And real quick, it's Dusty didn't rule out this might keep him out of next year, right? Like he might redshirt because they're not sure. The surgery is still not the timetable as of Monday was still not set. I have not heard if it has been set yet. As we record this at 9:30 in the morning on Wednesday, March 4th. But I mean, oftentimes with an ACL, you wait for the swelling and the knee to go down, and then you can operate, right? So I don't know, but I'm just saying that's like sort of the normal time frame. But Dusty's also said he wants LJ to be able to do all the things with the team this year. That means going on the road to Iowa. That means attending the Michigan State game. That means likely going to Chicago with the team for the Big Ten tournament. So they're trying to fit in a window for when to get him in for surgery, and it's often 6 to 9 months. I mean, 6 months is the most optimistic. You're not really back playing basketball in 6 months. Really, a return to the court is pretty much at least 8, 9, more likely 10 or 11 months away. And at that point, at 10 months, you're looking at January next year. Yeah, mid-January. And then you're still knocking the rust off and you're learning to trust it, right? At that point, it might just be better because LJ's not someone who's just immediately going to leave for the NBA, right? Like you're not going to lose him to the NBA if you redshirt him next year. So Dusty thinks he could learn a lot from just sort of watching from a coach's lens for a year, strengthening that. But the problem is Trey McKinney next year, I would imagine, is probably his last year if he does come back. And so a lot of people are thinking like, oh, we got Trey and LJ. This could be the best backcourt in the Big Ten. That remains to be seen. But right now, the focus is the here and now. I just wanted to contextualize where LJ's injury was at. No,
it's a good note. And it's a bummer. The play he got hurt on, too, was like the ultimate hustle play. He throws a sick between the leg passes on the fast break ended up being – they scored on it a couple seconds after. I think Merez missed the layup after, and then he got the putback. But it was like such a sweet, play by LJ that kind of was a perfect example of what he's been doing for this team. So major bummer all around. But let's take a quick break on the podcast. We'll stay live here, Tony. And then we'll come back and talk about just some context for this Michigan basketball season. Now that the Wolverines have officially wrapped up the Big Ten title. So stick with us. We'll stay with the live, but we'll be right back in a second on the podcast. And we're back. Nice little peek behind the curtain like we like to do here on the live show. I think if you guys have caught it before, we just come. That's basically how we do the podcast break. So anyways, not to get distracted. Context here for Michigan. This is, as you said, and it stuck with me, the greatest regular season in Michigan basketball history already. They have a chance to really mark that territory with potentially a Big Ten tournament win. But almost to me, it feels more important to how this team will be remembered is if they beat Michigan State in the final regular season game of the year. Those are the games that people really remember. Maybe if you want to say 1A, 1B between those two. So point being, there is potentially 5 games left in this regular season, counting the Big Ten tournament. And Michigan has already essentially marked this as the greatest regular season in program history. 2 years ago, that didn't seem possible. So how did we get here?
Yeah. And I don't, me, I'm kind of like I can get distracted when I hear things or see things. And I feel like the Big Ten tournament is the postseason, right? Like the regular season ends after these 2 games. I know what you mean, but pre-NCAA tournament where everything really matters. I get what you're saying. I wasn't trying to correct you. I was like, I wonder, we've never had that discussion. I was like, does he think of that as regular season? Because I can see the argument for it.
It's not the regular season, but it counts towards your record, and it's not March Madness. It's not the postseason. Yep. So I don't know. I could see
you're in limbo. Yeah. You're in limbo in the Big Ten tournament. No, especially if you're not playing for something, right? And you've already won the Big Ten regular season. All right, I digress. But yeah, no, that was well set up before I sort of ran over it with a wrecking ball. But I mean, what's really stuck out to me at this point, and for anyone listening right now or later on the pod, you can go check it out on freep.com. It's live right now. Is I did a story just about the turnaround for Dusty May over the last 2 years. I went back to his introductory press conference and read through it all and listened back. I mean, it's actually amazing how much this was his vision 2 years ago. And the way it's all come together was just miraculous. And you can't talk about this year without the context of last year and the seeds that were planted in year one, right? Like Michigan had to, had to. I mean, if this year's, I would say, is a grand slam. Last year was at least a home run. I mean, like 2-run shot, right? Game tying home run. I mean, this is like a walk-off grand slam right now. But it was still a home run last year. Like, you're landing Trey Donaldson, you're landing Danny Wolf, you're landing Vlad Golden. I was like, there was a fourth transfer who they landed. Who was it? I'm like, oh, Roddy. Like, of course, it is the guy who's still here. It feels like Roddy's almost been here longer than 2 years, honestly. And so, I mean, just the 4-5 ball screen, all the stuff we used to talk about last year. Danny ends up being a first-round pick. Trey, things didn't work out for them to keep that marriage going more than a year. But I mean, Trey's had actually a pretty nice year for Miami, which I think is still trending towards an NCAA tournament berth here, and he's been good for the Hurricanes. Last I saw, it was like 15-6 or so, and I mean, he was just kind of Trey Donaldson doing what you expect him to do, right? And then Vlad is he's in Sioux Falls right now, which is the G League of the Miami Heat, but he's putting up 11-7, right, in professional ball. Danny Wolf is playing meaningful minutes and has had some really nice moments for the Nets. And then Roddy is still around, but I mean, they didn't win the Big Ten last year, but they were in the hunt. They were in the fight deep late in the season into March before they lost 4 of 6. Then they rebound by winning the Big Ten tournament, making it to the second weekend. I mean, just that proof of concept for everybody, for outsiders in the program, and then specifically for like certain type of players to use that as a selling point. I mean, we've talked about it ad nauseum on here, how Yaxel, I mean, he told me, like, when he saw what Danny Wolf was able to do with Michigan, that was really a tipping point for him. I mean, he could have gone and been a first-round NBA pick as well. And yes, I mean, he's very, very handsomely paid. He is in a different ballpark than everybody on the rest of this team. But I mean, he could have just I mean, a lot of people, when you see, I mean, we were talking with Trey Burke when he had his jersey retired earlier. He's like, and yes, it's apples to oranges a little bit because he didn't have an NIL package to come back to, but he's like, when you see your name on that first round board, it's like, what am I doing here, right? Like, I got to go take it, or at least that's the thought. And he and Trey actually did end up coming back for a sophomore year still, but Michigan had all those things, like to win 27 games, to win the tournament, to have so much success through the portal, and to show that you can bring this cohesion together. Michigan just kind of one-upped it the year later. Like, I would say Elliot Cadeau is a better true point guard for sure than Trey Donaldson. Yaxel Lendeborg is even better as being like a do-it-all Swiss Army knife 4 and sometimes he can play 3 than Danny Wolf was. Adai Mara is a better rim protector than Vlad Golden. You keep Roddy Gale, and then you add, like, just a straight addition, Morez Johnson Jr., who, in my estimation, is maybe the second most impactful player on this team. And then until his injury, you got Kaysen, who's a year older, Namari, who's been in the system for another year, Cheddar, who's been in the system for another year, and Trey McKinney, who's a McDonald's All-American. I know we've sort of gone through this all before, but it makes sense, right? Like, they were good last year. They were quite good last year. This year, they have only gotten better at every single spot. They've gotten deeper at every single spot. They keep the entire staff, the continuity together. And I mean, this is what's going to happen. And I mean, so I just go back to what Dusty said at his introductory press conference. He said, we want to win championships. Our identity will be teamwork, passion, and togetherness. How much has he preached this year about playing for the guy next to you? Everybody will take their turn. They've had 8 different leading scorers. Everybody but Will Cheddar, who's in the rotation, has led this team in scoring at least once. And then he said the details will work themselves out about exactly how they'll put the pieces together, but we'll figure that out later. But watching Michigan basketball will be enjoyable. I'd say it's been quite enjoyable. Like, not just the winning, but the fun brand of, like, up-tempo basketball, the sharing, the trust. Even on defense, they're fun to watch because, I mean, they're the top 5 in the country in both. And then, but even Dusty did not see it coming together to this level this quickly, like a historic year in one. And he said in Champaign, he said, did we envision this? Absolutely not, because I had that much respect for the teams, coaches, and talent in our league. So this was the goal. But I think if you had told Dusty that this would happen in year 2, I mean, obviously he would take it, but he would be a little like he'd be like, all right, what's the catch? Like, how is this really going to come together like this in 2 years?
Yeah, it's all very impressive. And another thing, just to add something else, is like it's done in a year that's probably, for multiple reasons, one of the toughest years of college basketball as far as how many good teams there are, not just in the country, but also in the Big Ten. I mean, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Big Ten teams in the top 12 of KenPom. Purdue is really tough. Illinois, who Michigan made them look like mere mortals, like just ran them off the floor. Michigan State is now 8th in KenPom. Like, these are good teams this year because, and we've talked about this before, basically all the reasons why Michigan is loaded is because you can keep guys like Yaxel from going to the NBA draft. You can get guys like Merez Johnson. You can get Namari Burnett, who didn't work out, while still supplementing it with good young recruits like Trey McKinney. Plus, you have this whole crop of amazing freshmen across the nation. Your Cam Boozers, your DeBonzas, your Darren Petersons. You have Wagler at Illinois, who's been a surprise. You have your old school point guards like Jeremy Fierce Jr. Like, this is a special year of college basketball that I really think is putting the sport back on the map. In Michigan, though, they fall into second in KenPom behind Duke, who's also having one of those type seasons. It is very much going to be part of that story of what I think is going to be an awesome and historical March Madness. So for that reason too, it's even more impressive. It's not like it's been some of these down years, kind of when we were in between the one and done era, when you had the John Wall, Boogie Cousins, and then this more modern era with the transfer portal. There was some years there where it was like, there's just not that many great teams. But this is not one of those years.
Absolutely not. I mean, and KenPom numbers will tell you as much, right? Like, Michigan would be the number one KenPom team in terms of adjusted efficiency, like just overall. I think adjusted. And their net rating. Their net rating is the best since Duke in '99. The only team that is better than that is Duke this year, right? If you took Duke this year out, Michigan would be the best rated college basketball team of this century. Duke has now taken it to yet another level. This was updated last night. I had not even seen this. I think Duke has now passed 99. No, it still hasn't passed 99 Duke. 99 Duke was just on another planet at 43.01. But Duke is now 40.79 net rating. Michigan is 39.55. The best team last year was Duke, which was very close, and a historic Duke team again, 39.29. But before that, I mean, you got teams in the back-to-back Connecticut teams were 36 in the year in the 22-23. Connecticut was 29.86. That
looked better than everybody by a mile. And yeah, I mean, that's running teams off the floor.
That's almost exactly where Michigan State is ranked right now this year. So it would be 29.86 versus 29.79. So 0.07 of a point apart. And to put that into perspective, that gap between Duke at 1 and Michigan State at 8, which is exactly an 11-point gap. So I got to go down to where like 18.7. That's the gap between 8 and 41. So the gap between the top 1 seed and the bottom 2 seed is the same as the 2 seed and a team that might not even be in the tournament. I think it's SMU right now is 41. Yeah. I mean, so the top is just unbelievable. Right.
But it's still college basketball, right? Like, Michigan lost to Wisconsin. Michigan State almost beat Duke earlier this year at the Breslin Center. Like, it's still college basketball, which adds an element of chaos, but you have these loaded teams. That's what makes it so fun. It's not, I love the NBA, but I understand why some people don't love the NBA, where it's like before the whole, mid 2000s NBA finals, you could predict before the playoffs, like, yep, Warriors, Cavs, like, there's still an element of unpredictability to it because it's a one and done tournament, but you have these loaded teams. So, I mean, buckle up. It's going to be an awesome March. And Michigan is firmly in that mix,
They're one of the 2 headliners. I mean, people are saying Michigan, Duke, or the field, right?
And Arizona, I would put in that company too. I mean, I don't know what else they have to do to be, and I was a little bit of a lower on them, but it's like, they crush Houston, right? I mean, like what else is left for them to do?
They just hammered Iowa State at home.
And they just crushed Iowa State, on Monday, right? So that's they just continue to. As much as I personally, like, my eye test thinks that Duke and Michigan are slightly above the rest, I think that you have to at least consider Arizona. But then Florida and UConn are red hot too. I mean, who wants to see those teams in the tournament?
Yeah. Yep. I mean, I think for some reason, I mean, the computers are down on UConn a little bit. Like, they're 10th. And I think
I don't get that.
I mean,
really.
we were talking about like seeding and all those things pre-show, but yeah, no, I mean, Duke is and Arizona are the for sure 1 seed locks, and then I mean, Connecticut, Florida are really. What did I say?
You said Duke and Arizona, I believe, right?
Oh,
Duke, Arizona, and Michigan are the
and Michigan, obviously. And Michigan, obviously, are the 3 1 seed locks. I mean, the bracket matrix has Connecticut pretty firmly as that 4th 1 seed.
But they're 10 and Ken Palm, just so
which is a weird discrepancy. Then the 2s right now on bracket matrix, and for those who don't know, bracket matrix compiles the what is it, like 132 different
it's
brackets?
Crazy. I'm looking at it. Now.
I mean, some of these you don't. I mean, most of these you've never even heard of. But it also has all the big time names as well.
It's weird because like there's just such on one level, I'm like, hey, we're gonna include Joe Schmo's bracket that they put on all the way down there. But then at the same time, I'm looking at it now, it's like there is quite a bit of groupthink. Like a week ago, just because I mentioned them again because they've been moving up and down. MSU is like almost all a 2 or 3 on here. There's a couple 4s, but like there's nothing below a 4. So they're weirdly reliable as far as top down all these different brackets.
Yeah. Well, I mean, from the middle of the 2s through the 3s, I mean, you've got 4 out of 5 spots in a row are Big Ten teams. So the 7th overall seed right now is Illinois. The 8th overall seed, so those are the bottom two seeds. I should say the 7th overall team, 8th overall team. So it goes Illinois, Michigan State, Iowa State, Nebraska, Purdue. So that is and then Texas Tech is the final 3 seed. So it feels like Illinois, I mean, all those teams are going to be somewhere on those lines. It's
going to be fascinating. How do you think they're going to split up the teams? Because I mean, last year they put Michigan and Michigan State in the same bracket. I would be a little surprised if they did it again, especially if MSU holds on to that 2 line where Michigan State's the 2, Michigan's the 1. I think they would avoid that, right? But Michigan State was the 2 and Michigan was the 5 last year, right? So I think they would avoid that. But as far as like Big Ten landmines, there's gonna be some crossover here.
Yeah. Well, so let's just lock this in. Michigan is going to be the 1 seed in the Midwest. Affirmative. They will be playing their Sweet 16 and Elite 8 games in Chicago. The opening round, it's up in the air if it's going to be Philly or Buffalo. It's more likely Buffalo because Duke's probably not going to lose again. They'll get the 1 seed in the East, and then Michigan won't just get to pick, but it will be placed based on geographic proximity. And Buffalo, while it doesn't feel like it, is closer to Ann Arbor than Philadelphia is. So Michigan would go to Buffalo first, and then you sort of reverse snake it all the way from the 2s to the 3s. So the last for let's say like an Illinois or a Michigan State, that last 2 seed spot, whichever one of them is in the last 2 seed, that would be out west. I know some of the playing games are in like San Diego, or not the playing games, but the first couple rounds are San Diego. And I don't even remember. I've stopped looking at where the tournament location is because I was just frankly concerned about where we were going with Michigan. And so I kind of wonder, but if let's say if that Illinois or Michigan State, whichever one of those Midwest teams, say they get bumped to the top 3 seed spot, that very well could be back in the Midwest. And you could have 1 seed Michigan against 3 seed Michigan State or Illinois in an Elite 8 game. That is entirely possible. And then, like I said, when you have all 4 of these teams bunched up together, and you're not going to put a 2-3 Big Ten in the same group because you don't want these teams to meet in the Sweet 16, Michigan is almost certainly going to be in the same bracket as another one of these Big Ten teams.
Yeah. Yep. And there is a little bit more fluidity to it, I would say. Like, it's not like if MSU gets bumped down from the 8 to the 9, like they're guaranteed to be with Michigan per se, right? Like, I think that they'll try to avoid certain matchups. I really think that, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong and they did it last year and maybe they're getting more structured with it. But back in the day, at least history tells us that they would have tried to avoid like putting Duke and North Carolina in the same bracket, right? Like they try not to do that. So there is some flexibility with it, and that's kind of what makes it fun.
They could go
if you turn on Selection Sunday and it was like, yep, here are all the seeds, it wouldn't be nearly as fun, right? So there is a little bit of unpredictability to it, a little bit of they want to do this, committee like this, and then watching them try to explain it afterwards, like there was some reasoning to why Michigan didn't move up after winning the Big Ten tournament last year, and everybody completely agreeing with it and all echo chambering it online. I mean, that's what you live for right there. That's the Selection Sunday, the drama that, they live for. Drives you insane when it happens to your team. But from a pure like debate standpoint, I mean, Selection Sunday, it just literally never disappoints. Except for that one year when they did like all the one seed. Remember they did like a really weird reveal of it and they made it last for like 2 hours. And everyone was like, "This sucks," and they went right back to what it was before.
Yeah.
Ever since then, it has not disappointed.
We've been waiting 5 months for Selection Sunday. Give us the brackets, and then we know you all got to see them 30 minutes ahead of time. Then rip through what you think is going to happen. But I mean, just as far, we'll have more bracket talk next week, obviously, or I guess the week after when it's out. But I mean, I'm trying to think about any scenario where I don't have Michigan going to the national championship game. They would have to somehow see Duke in the Final Four.
Yeah.
And I think even still, like, I don't want to give it away, but it's really hard to pick against this team. Put it this way. I've picked against the Michigan's played 29 games. I've picked against them twice in tough spots at MSU and actually 3 times at Purdue and at Illinois, because I figured eventually they'd lose one of them. I picked them to beat Duke. And 0-3 when picking against them. I'm like, I'm done picking against them. I mean, that's not exactly that's not picking against them a ton. Like most teams lose those games, right? Like, or at least one of them. So I kind of kept going back to the well because I didn't want to be like, all right, well, I'm just going to pick them to win every time because that felt boring. But I mean, I was really on the fence, and all of those games I picked them to be like 2-point games. So it's not like I didn't think they could win them at all. And now I think they're going to win all the games. The only time I see them really maybe losing is like Big Ten tournament time when we talk about like what's the real importance of this. Let's make sure we get out of here healthy. Maybe Yax is only playing 25 minutes no matter what, right? Like, but it depends who they match up with in each round, right? And so,
yep. Well, just real quick while you're talking, I was looking up some of the like DraftKings odds as far as like what they say for championship. Duke is plus 320, so 3.2 to 1. Michigan plus 330. And then third is Arizona at plus 475, which would be like a great number most years. I mean, that's a really good team, Arizona is. But to make the Final Four, you said like I don't know where I would see Michigan losing. Michigan's minus 160 to make the Final Four.
Oh,
I mean that's insane. Like minus 160 to make the Final Four, like which you hang banners if you make the Final Four. Like that is insane that they're almost 2 to 1 or
favored.
1 to 2, I should say, favored to make the Final Four. So
it is more likely
for sure. Yeah, exactly. Significantly more likely than not that Michigan will make the Final Four. And then when you get there, we've seen Michigan made it to the championship game. There's been one, you have to finish it once you get there, right? It's not always a guarantee, but getting to the Final Four is half the battle.
Yeah. I don't know. I just have this vision of them like celebrating winning it all. Like, I don't know. I can't get it out of my head. Like, I really think Like I remember, I've covered national championship teams before with Michigan football a couple years ago. And once they beat Alabama in the Rose Bowl, I was like, okay, yeah, they're definitely beating Washington. But that Bama one is like, can they pull this off? And they almost didn't, right? Like they're down 20-13, 4 minutes left. Bama has the ball up 7 with like 6-7 minutes left. Michigan comes up with a stop. Then then JJ completes a pass to Blake on 4th down. You got the Roman Wilson like one hand catch later on the drive, right? And then they still need the fourth and goal. I guess it was 4th and 2, but it was in goal territory, like at the 4-yard line. It was 4th and 1.5. They need the stop of Jalen Milroe, right? Like that was so tight the whole way, and Michigan was supposed to be like the best team in the country, right? Like they're the one seed that year, weren't they? Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
they were 13. I mean, they were 13-0 going in, and because Bama squeaked
Washington
in because the Auburn, Georgia, all the how that all worked out, and so so I guess the point is like this is the most confident I have been in a team that I covered to win it all, and I've gone to two Frozen Fours, 3 college football playoffs. I guess I was there for the last 2. It's just like a lot of teams have been knocking on the doorstep, and I think this one is the best of the bunch. And I don't know that it's all that close, to be honest. Now, it might not happen. I mean, that's March, but
and like plus 330 is the second favorite, basically co-favorites essentially with Duke, but that's still 3-1. That's still not. We talked about the odds. Minus 160 means it's more likely than not that they make the Final Four, but that's a big jump to go from minus 160 to plus 330. Like that shows you that it's all basically in the Final Four and where anything can happen. That's a huge leap to go from Final Four to the title, right? So that's where you make your margins,
Yeah, no, for sure. And not that it's not worth putting a future out on Michigan. There's no juice left. Just for the record, what you need to do is you need to just consecutively bet, and you need to roll it over. Like, say you start with $10, and that first game is $10 to win. You might not even win you 50 cents. Like maybe you don't need to bet.
You can probably skip that one, to be honest.
Yeah. Or the alternative is you bet. I mean, I'm not going to talk in actual figures, but just you bet 50 units, right? And I'm not advocating for that. You can hear this is what it sounds like in my group chats with my friends. But it's like, say it's like some random bet is like $1,000 to win $30. People are like, oh, that's crazy. It's like, well, it's a lock. Like, I mean, if you were walking down the street and you saw $30 on the ground, would you pick it up? I mean,
yeah. I mean, for most of the NCAA tournament history, that was true.
Michigan will not be losing to a 16 seed.
Purdue scared everyone for a generation, man. Purdue scared everyone. Like, why?
I know.
No one thought that they would lose, right? I mean, some people don't have, myself included, don't have the risk appetite to do necessarily a 116 lock like that.
No,
but
I know some of us are built different. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, clearly. Let's just wrap it up here with Iowa. I don't think we need to spend too much time. Decent team. I jotted down here. They're 14-2 at home. I mean, I just think it's going to take a bare minimum level of focus for Michigan to make sure they don't overlook this game. They should, talent-wise, they should be able to beat Iowa. Michigan State, is there anything you're watching in this Michigan State game where last year we saw MSU had it wrapped up in the Big Ten Championship wrapped up. They had already beaten Michigan, but they played like the hungrier team in that final game. This year, Michigan has it wrapped up. Do you think we see a similar story, or do you think it's going to be a test? Like, it is a test of your focus because you can't fake desperation, and Michigan State is still playing for stuff, while Michigan, as we've discussed, is already locked into where they're going to be.
Yeah. So I'll go in order. First with Iowa, I don't expect any overlooking or slip up or anything, and that's because Michigan has a chance to go 11-0 on the road this season and 10-0 in the Big Ten. The last team to go undefeated on the road in league play was 1975-1976 Indiana. That was Bob Knight's undefeated 32-0 Hoosiers, which is the last team in college basketball who ran the table all the way to the national championship. To be in company like that, that is a notable thing, right? And that's what Michigan's kind of been doing all year, like finding reasons to not get bored. Like like they play Ohio State twice. All right, we got to win these for Roddy. You play UCLA, we got to win this for Adai. You play Illinois, we got to win this for Merez. You win at Michigan State, we got to make some history at Breslin. Purdue, right? It's like, we've gotten smacked. Like we got smacked up last year. We got humbled on this road. We're proving that we're a different team. Like every step of the way. They go to the Pacific Northwest. They know if they sweep those two, they'll be the first team, and I think still right now the only team in the league who 2 years in has gone 4-0 on the West Coast trip, right? Like these things don't really matter, but you just need to find a reason, a talking point, like something to sort of rally around for a little bit. Now, maybe it's for LJ. In this Iowa game, it's about making some history. And then should they do that, which I expect they will, there's going to be more history on the line against Michigan State. No Big Ten team has ever won more than 18 games in a league season. Michigan has a chance to go. Just hearing it out loud, 19-1 in the Big Ten, in a good Big Ten. Last year Michigan State. Yeah, last year Michigan State ran away with it. It was not a very good Big Ten, and they were 17-3. Michigan in a harder league would be 2 games clear of that, right? And they would have to play. Michigan State would have been 16-3 going into the final game, and Michigan at 18-1. They would have already had it clinched. I was going to say maybe then, but no. I expect this to be a very big game for teams that are already guaranteed a 1 seed and then at no worse than a 3 seed, as long as Michigan State doesn't lose to Rutgers this week, which I don't expect they will. Then it's just, there's rivalry, there's pride. Michigan was looking to sweep Michigan State for the first time in 8 years. Every time Michigan does something this year, like from here on out, it's the first time since, or the first time ever, right? They have more 40-point wins than any Big Ten team in the history of the league throughout a season. They have 2 losses by 8 points all year. No Michigan team has finished with 2 losses or fewer in the regular season in like 75 years. Like I wrote about it somewhere. I don't have it up in front of me, but it's just been so long. And to complete that, like to bring this pod full circle, that Dusty May turnaround, like when you talk with Namari, like when I talk with Namari and Will Cheddar after games or for pregame availability or what have you, they're just like, they just don't even know what to say. They're like, it's almost like they don't know which part is the most impossible, is like the vibe I get, that this turnaround has happened, that it was so bad, or that it's now so good, right? Like it's just, it's a lot to wrap your mind around as a person and someone who's on the inside. And like, it's like, shout out to them those are two of the best guys. Like I've said it on this pod, I've said it off this pod, this locker room and this group, this team, I think has been my favorite team that I've ever covered. They are so, they're so humble and they're getting emotional. No, they're just so humble and they all like say the right things and they have like great attitudes. But Namari and Will easily could have left after that year under Juwan. Will could have gone back home to Minnesota. I know Minnesota would have loved to have him. Namari, who had bounced from Texas Tech to Alabama to Michigan. He's from Chicago. Like, I don't know, go to a DePaul, go to Northwestern, right? Like somewhere closer to home. You just went 8-24 in your first year in Ann Arbor, but Dusty saw the vision. And each of those guys were like, they played I think the most minutes of their career in that 8-24 season. And for them to understand like, hey, we're going to be taking a lesser role, but what we are going to bring to the table is going to matter on certain nights and is going to help us be at our best. If it's Will, I remember he had some big minutes in that game at Oregon. Michigan was losing at Oregon in the second half, And Will Cheddar, I mean, that was his best game of the year. He had some big offensive rebounds, hit a couple threes, and they ended up pulling away and winning, but not in the way many thought. Namari, he still has the season high 31 points for anyone on this team. Was that Penn State? I can't like. There've been so many games I can't even remember who he scored 31 against. But it just goes to show like they've both played their part, and it's just been an incredible year for Michigan basketball, and they could add more history to a historic week, and then it is the postseason, which I am sure everybody listening, I would hope, is as fired up for it as we are.
And by postseason, do you mean Big Ten tournament or NCAA tournament? Which one? Can you clarify?
Right, right. No, it's the Big Ten tournament is the postseason, right? Because it is. I mean, it is no longer the regular season, so it is post-season, like by definition. So it's not March Madness, but it is the postseason. It is. I mean, because if you think about it, for in other leagues, that's where your season ends, right? Like if you're not. Like if you're going for the auto bid, like the Horizon League, that is the postseason, right? Like you lose and you are done. And it's still true for, I mean, well, none of those teams are going to win it, but for the Minnesotas and the Northwesterns and the Indiana now kind of outside looking in, Rutgers, Washington, Oregon, you got to run the table or your season is over unless you're going to the Crown maybe or the NIT. I mean, it is the postseason. So like the regular season is over and we're like 10 days away from Selection Sunday as we record this. Just awesome. I'll be 1 week from tomorrow. I'll be in Chicago for the Big Ten tournament. I'll be showing up in Chicago. Michigan doesn't play until noon on Friday. So mark your calendars.
Yeah. Yep. It's coming quick. For some reason, I just literally had such a brain fart. I was like, no, Selection Sunday's in 4 days because I was thinking about the email I had to send out to you, a little preview of what you're going to be getting in a few seconds. We have to start preparing all our, Selection Sunday stuff. And I was like, in my head, I started thinking like, do we only have 4 days left but thankfully, no, we have roughly 10 days left until Selection Sunday. So from a journalistic perspective, I'm excited about that. But as a basketball fan, I just can't wait for Selection Sunday and all that comes with it. So with that, thank you everyone for sticking with us on the live here. For watching watching on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, wherever you're watching live. And thank you for anyone who made it this far in the podcast as well. We really appreciate you. It's been a fun season so far. Obviously, a lot of good basketball to cover, and hopefully a lot more good basketball left to discuss here, not just with the regular season finale on Sunday. Looks like, Tony, you got your finger up. What do you want to say?
Yeah, we forgot to put out a call for questions. Last time we got some good questions.
I put one out there. I put one out in the comments. Yeah.
Okay.
But people need
all right,
verbalizing
it. All right. Yeah. No, I'm not in the comments feed, but just for next time.
No. We need commenters to step up the game. We're getting a lot of people watching, especially on Twitter. So if you're listening, watching, please send us your questions, even if it's a little comment, even if you don't like what Tony and I are saying, please tell us as such, and we'll react. So we love interacting with everyone on there. So like I was saying, we great basketball season so far. Lots more left to discuss. So check us out on freep.com/sports. Tony's writing all the time. I'm editing on there. So we got a hand in a lot of stuff going on the website there. Check us out on your podcast feeds. And of course, shout out to Robin Chan, who produces this show and edits it. Huge integral part of the whole show. Ryan Ford, our acting sports editor. And of course, Nicole Avery Nichols, who makes it all possible as our editor. So with that, we'll talk to you guys after the Michigan State game next week ahead of the Big Ten tournament.